Welcome to Singapore Property Talk Law. I'm Damien, and today we're taking a deep dive into the LTA condo launch in Clementi. We know you're eager to find out if this new development is a buy or a skip for your investment portfolio. To help us unpack all of that, we have property expert Serene joining us.
Hi everyone, Serene here, ready to break down LTA's potential and see if it lives up to the hype.
So LTA is the first new launch in Clementi for a while now, right?
Yeah, 4 years since Clavon.
If I remember correctly.
That was a pretty
successful launch.
It was.
Big shoes to fill.
LTA is certainly creating a buzz.
What are your initial thoughts on LTA?
It seems to be attracting both HDB upgraders and private property investors, drawn to its prime location, especially with those prestigious schools nearby.
Okay, let's unpack this location a bit. We know it's near amenities like the Clementi Mall and well connected by major roads, but it's not directly next to an MRT station yet. How much of a deal breaker is that for you?
It's a consideration, but not a complete deal breaker. While immediate MRT access is a plus, LTA is well served by bus routes. And crucially, the upcoming Cross Island line in 2032, that'll be a game changer for connectivity and could potentially boost property values in the area.
That's a good point. Plus, you can't forget about the Jurong Lake District being practically on LTA's doorstep. That's a major business hub that's only going to grow right. Surely that's got to be a plus for potential rental income.
Absolutely. The Jurong Lake District is attracting more companies and professionals, which means increased demand for housing nearby. It's a strong factor to consider for buy-to-let investors eyeing LTA.
All right, so the location has its pros and cons, but overall it seems pretty strategic. Now let's talk about the developers. We've got MCL Land and CSC Land behind LTA. They both have a pretty solid track record, don't they?
Yes, both developers are reputable, with experience in creating eco-friendly projects, which aligns with the growing demand for sustainable living.
Okay, hold on. Break that down for us. What does that actually mean for potential investors? Is it just a fancy label, or are there tangible benefits?
It's definitely more than just a label. This rating means LTA is designed with energy efficiency in mind, potentially translating to lower utility bills for residents. This could be a big draw for tenants, and even impact resale value down the line.
So it's ticking the boxes for eco-conscious buyers and adding potential value for investors. Smart move by the developers. But one thing that caught my eye in the brochure was the unit mix. Lots of 4-bedroom units, but limited 3 bedrooms. Isn't that a bit unusual?
It is. While it could limit the buyer pool, I think it's a calculated move to target a specific niche. Landed property downgraders. Clementi has a large number of landed properties, and families looking to downsize might prefer these spacious units.
Interesting. So they're not trying to appeal to everyone, just a specific segment of the market. But I wonder if that's a risky strategy. What if demand from landed property downgraders isn't as strong as they're anticipating?
That's a valid concern. It's definitely a gamble. We'll need to see how it plays out. But they are also offering spacious 3-bedroom premium units, which might attract a wider audience.
Right. Those 123 square foot 3-bedroom units are pretty generous. Do you think that's their way of addressing the lack of the popular 3-bedroom plus study layout we see in other developments?
Perhaps. It's possible they felt a dedicated study room wasn't necessary, given the already spacious layout of the 3-bedroom premium units, which allows for flexible configurations.
All right, so the unit mix is a mixed bag. Potentially a smart move to target a niche market, but with a bit of risk involved. But let's be honest, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the price, right? And we're hearing whispers of $2,300 to $2,900 per square foot. It's not exactly pocket change.
No, it's definitely a premium price point, higher than Clavon's launch price a few years back.
Right. And we need to consider whether those unique features justify that premium. The elevated ground level, the green, features the focus on larger units. And more importantly, will those features translate into strong capital appreciation down the line?
Exactly. Those are the key questions we need to explore.
Okay, lots to unpack there. We've covered the location, the developers, the unique unit mix, and that eye-catching price tag. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of whether LTA is a buy or skip for you, let's take a quick break. We'll be back in a jiffy to dive deeper into the potential pros and cons. Welcome back to Singapore Property Talk Law. We're back and ready to dig deeper into LTA. We've laid the groundwork. But now I want to get into the details that could really make or break this investment for you. Serene, let's talk about that elevated ground level they keep mentioning in their marketing. It sounds fancy, but what does it actually mean for someone living there?
You're right. Elevated ground level does sound a bit like marketing jargon, but in LTA's case, it's more than just a catchy phrase. The first residential floor actually starts at the 4th story, which means even those on lower floors get better views and privacy than in typical developments. Think about those units facing the landed properties or towards the south. Those could be particularly desirable.
I see. So it's like having a head start on the views. And they've incorporated a lot of greenery into the design to capitalize on that, haven't they? All those sky gardens and rooftop terraces. It's like they're trying to bring a bit of nature up into the sky.
Exactly. And that's a trend we're seeing more and more in new developments, that connection with nature, even in a high-rise setting. But it's not just about aesthetics. These green spaces help reduce noise and air pollution, creating a more tranquil living environment. And that can add value to your investment.
Okay, so elevated, living, lush greenery. What else sets LTA apart from its neighbors like Clavon and Clement Canopy?
Well, let's talk facilities. LTA boasts over 50 resort-style amenities. And they're not just randomly thrown together, they're spread across 5 distinct zones, each catering to a different lifestyle or interest.
5 zones. Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more about these zones. Are we talking about the usual gym and pool, or is there something more unique here?
You've got your standard gym and pool, of course, but they've also included things like a tennis court, a spa pavilion, and even a party deck with a BBQ area. And these are just the highlights.
Wow, that's quite a spread. So these 5 zones, what are they all about?
Well, for example, there's a dedicated family zone with a kids' playground and a water play area, perfect for those HDB upgraders with young children. Then there's a wellness zone with a gym, a yoga deck, and a meditation garden. It's all about catering to residents who prioritize health and relaxation.
So they're really trying to create a holistic living experience, appealing to a broad range of residents. But how did these amenities compare to what Clavon and Clement Canopy offer? Are we talking about a significant upgrade, or are they all pretty similar?
Both Clavon and Clement Canopy have good facilities, don't get me wrong, but LTAs are more extensive and definitely more uniquely themed. They're really going for that more is more approach.
I see. And I'm guessing that comes at a cost, right?
Mm.
These luxurious amenities are probably factored into that premium price tag we talked about.
Absolutely. But it's about perceived value. Buyers are willing to pay for a wider range of amenities and a more luxurious experience, and that's what the developers are banking on.
Fair enough. So we've got elevated, living lush, greenery, and resort-style facilities. Anything else we need to highlight before we move on?
Well, they're also incorporating smart home technology into all the units.
Right, we touched on that briefly earlier.
Yeah.
But let's delve a little deeper. What exactly does that entail for residents? Is it just a fancy gimmick, or does it actually add value and convenience?
It's definitely more than a gimmick. Residents will be able to control various aspects of their homes using a mobile app. Things like lighting, air conditioning, and even security features. It's all about convenience and peace of mind. And it's a feature that's becoming increasingly sought after, especially by younger buyers.
So it's ticking the box for the tech-savvy buyer as well. All right, LTA seems to be hitting all the right notes so far. Elevated living, lush, greenery, resort-style facilities, smart home technology. It all sounds very impressive. But we need to remember to keep that price tag in mind and consider the potential competition from those nearby resale units. In the next segment, let's analyze the numbers and see if LTA lives up to its promises. Welcome back to Singapore Property Talk Law. All right, we're back for the final stretch of our LTA deep dive. We've covered the location, the unique features, and even compared it to its neighbors. Now, the million-dollar question, or should I say the multi-million-dollar question, is LTA a buy or a skip? Serene, help our listener make sense of it all.
Well, as with any property investment, it's not a simple yes or no answer. There are a lot of factors to consider, and it ultimately boils down to individual circumstances, financial goals, and risk tolerance.
Right. What might be a fantastic investment for one person could be completely wrong for another.
Exactly. So let's revisit that price range of $2,300 to $2,900 per square foot. It's a significant amount. And it's definitely a premium compared to what we saw with Clavon's launch.
And we discussed how that's partly due to the higher land bid price. But for someone listening, what does that premium translate to in practical terms?
It means you're paying for the newest development in a prime location with all those bells and whistles we've discussed. The question is, will that translate into strong capital appreciation down the line? That's what you need to weigh.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate here. Let's talk about why someone might choose to skip LTA.
Well, that high entry price is a major hurdle for some. It could price out buyers with limited budgets, especially with interest rates on the rise. Those monthly repayments could be a real stretch.
I see your point. It's a big commitment. And what about the competition from nearby resale units? Clavon and Clement Canopy are still relatively new and offer similar location advantages. Does that affect LTA's appeal?
It's a valid concern. You might be able to find a similar unit in those developments at a lower price point. However, some buyers find the allure of a brand new development irresistible. They want that fresh, untouched feel.
Okay, so we've looked at the potential downsides. Now let's flip the coin. Why would someone choose to buy LTA despite those challenges?
Well, the potential for capital appreciation is a major draw. Clementi is a mature estate with solid fundamentals, and the growth of the Juron Lake District adds another layer of appeal. More jobs, more businesses, more demand for housing. It all points towards positive growth potential.
And LDA's unique features could give it an edge in the resale market, right?
Hmm.
The elevated ground level, the extensive facilities, the eco-friendly design.
Absolutely. Those factors could attract a premium price down the line. You might be paying a premium now, but the potential returns could be significant, especially if you have a longer investment time frame.
So it's a bit of a long game, but with potential for good returns. And let's not forget the rental yield potential. Clementi is a popular rental market, especially for students and professionals working in the Jurong Lake District.
Exactly. So for buy-to-let investors, LTA could be a solid option. But again, it all comes back to individual financial situations, investment goals, and risk appetite.
Right. There's no one-size-fits-all answer in the world of property investment. But Serene, after looking at all the angles, if you had to give our listener a gut feeling,
Yeah.
a buy or skip, what would you say?
Honestly, I'm leaning towards buy, but with a big caveat. I think LTA has strong potential, but that price needs to be right. If it's priced too aggressively, the potential for capital appreciation might be limited.
So watch that launch price carefully and be prepared to walk away if it doesn't make financial sense. There are always other opportunities in the market.
Exactly. Don't let the hype cloud your judgment.
Excellent advice. Well, Serene, thank you for joining us today and sharing your insights on ELTA. It's been a truly insightful deep dive. And to our listener, we hope this has given you a clearer picture of what ELTA has to offer and whether it aligns with your investment goals. Remember, property investment is a big decision, so take your time, do your research, and don't be afraid to seek professional advice. Until next time, happy investing.